Jeffrey. I love that theme song. I don't know who did it, but can they do one for Rootsology? No, I'm only kidding. Yeah, man, really nice, really nice. And you need to tell us who that artist is. All right, so it's now time for Make We Talk Tuesdays with Jeffrey Tavares. And I see my friend. I see my friend there too. Bless up yourself, Devon.
Blessed love, sister. Blessed love.
Good morning, good morning. We're listening from around the world in the Eastern Caribbean. And Miss Isis, you know who did it to you?
Who
I'll
is it?
talk to you off air.
You don't want to promote them?
Well, actually, he's a well-known artist. Is Ed
The name?
Robinson.
Yeah, because the name, the sound is familiar, but I couldn't pick
Yes.
it up. Very nice, very
My
nice.
good friend Ed Robinson.
Yeah,
He
man, it
did it to
sounds
me.
good. Minala, it
Yes.
sounds very good.
Thank
Congratulations.
you all for joining us this morning on the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel, Rosanna 6.1 FM, the voice of the inner city. We're going to speak about access to public beaches in Jamaica. Good morning to my family and friends in NEGRIL. I know they're all listening up and, they're all tuning in to the YouTube and Facebook page. With me this morning, I have Dr. Devon Taylor. Dr. Taylor is no stranger to Roots FM. He may be a
No,
stranger
no,
to the
no.
Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel and Make We Talk program. But this gentleman is no stranger to radio, no stranger to Roots FM. Dr. Devon Taylor, rather, is an environmentalist, social justice activist. And he has been promoting, trying to get government to see that, hey, the beach belongs to the people of Jamaica, not to their friends of the favorite few or the people of the upper ends of society. But I call them the Vumvava and the Vumvavi. Because you have some people of the Vumvava and the Vumvavi who believe that the Jamaican people is nothing to them. I'm supposed to be joined by a good friend of mine from NEGRIL, Councillor Wayne Vassiana. I'm hoping that he will come on pretty soon. Doc, tell me the work that you're doing, because we only have an hour here on Roots FM, but some of the work that you're doing, that we can ask you some question, and why is it that people don't have access to public beaches in Jamaica?
So first I'll use the word general access, because there are some access, but that access is based upon condition. So let's get into what the observation is. So there is it's pretty much an organized disappearance of beaches at an alarming rate in Jamaica. And this disappearance is happening because of, the quote unquote development, if you will, that is de-developing the people outside of, general rights of access to the beach. And this is a contentious issue. It was first in the public space since 1954, when fisher folks and normal beach patrons were complaining that they were losing access to the beaches in Jamaica because of development was coming in from that time, what we call commercialization of the space. So in that they set up what it was known as the a commission to see how they could protect the interests of the public, and they came up with a document called the Beach Control Act of 1956. But that act did not do what it's supposed to do in terms of preserving what we would call the general rights of access for Jamaicans to just walk on any beach that they feel like what is common across the Caribbean. Barbados, you go on any beach. Cayman, you go on any beach. Bahamas, Aruba, St. Kitts, Nevis, all the other Caribbean islands, and not to mention Cuba, the beaches are there as a national treasure for everyone to access and use. That is not the case in Jamaica. Jamaica have layers of restriction. All right. First, Once you are a property owner that owns a piece of land that adjoins to the ocean, and you fence that, and let's look at the hotels and the villas, you will lose access to really get on those beaches. So that is one level of restriction. Land rights, you lose land rights, then you lose access to the beach. The other is also that the National Environmental Protection Agency issues beach leases to whether it be a private company, like companies that are operating Puerto Seco or Fort Clarence, and also those leases also go to hotel. And those leases allow those individuals to, exclude Jamaican. The exclusion happen not only from physical barrier, but also it becomes an economic one where you cannot afford, the fee to get into these spaces. So that's another level of restriction. So the issue that we're having in Jamaica is that the law in Jamaica does not give Jamaicans the general rights of access to beaches. And so what you see, as soon as a commercialized project comes up, then you lose access to that beach. And we see that's proliferating across the island. And so we are losing, those access. I can go further into into a law. And I need to read this because I want the Jamaican people to really clearly understand it. So the Beach Control Act of 1956, in section 3 of that legislation, basically says, and I want everyone to really, really, let this soak in. It says, the public has no general rights of access to the foreshore, which is, that wet sandy area, classically what we call the beach there, except to pass over it for the purpose of navigation or for fishing. There is therefore no right of bathing, okay, or to walk along the foreshore, except where acquired by customs or prescription. And I'm gonna define those terminology in a second. There is no general right to fish. This is in section 3 of the Beach Control Act. You have no right to bathe, you have no right to swim, you have no right to walk along the foreshore, and you have no right to fish. No general right.
So hold on there for me now, Dr. Taylor. I'm born and grew in NEGRIL. Some of my family own property on the 7 Mile Beach in NEGRIL. And, as a little boy, we used to, run up and down on the beach in NEGRIL. So you're saying to me, the act that the Jamaican government have does not give me the right to go in front of a hedonism to unbathe?
It does not give you that general right. So you know how your right is protected? Your right is protected through customs. So what the custom says is if you're using the space for a minimum of 20 years, you can continue to do so in perpetuity forever. But if they're supposed to stop you, you have to go into the courts and prove that you were doing so for a minimum of 20 years. So the legislation does not have baked in it that you have the general right, so no one could ever stop you. Okay, that right does not exist. You have a customary right because you have been using it for a while. And when it is set up as a public beach, all right, then that public beach also is a permission, right, from the government for you to use it. Now, that doesn't exist in other countries. In other countries, you have a general right. So what comes with a general right is easements that anyone just walks down there. Because what you could do in parts of NEGRIL, you cannot do that in parts of St. and Trelawney and Montego Bay. You can't walk over to, can you cross over Sandals, Royalton? I mean, can you cross over Rio, Iberia Star? Can you go onto those beaches?
Hold on there. Hold on a minute, because my temper and my blood start boiling. Because you're telling me and the people of this country and all those who are listening from around the world and the Eastern Caribbean that the Jamaican citizens in this country, by the way, I can make something clear to everybody. I grew up in NEGRIL. And you know who started tourism in Jamaica? People in NEGRIL. My grandmother, my grandfather, my granduncles, and so forth. May God bless them, rest them soul. They're the one who start tourism in Jamaica. And they used to come out of the house and give to these hippies who used to come to NEGRIL and pitch tent on the beach and in front of my grandparents' home. And all along, we didn't know that if we go over to Sandy Sand, we're infringing on Sandy Sand's right because the beach, the government don't give us access to the beach. Andrew Holness, you claim say you love poor people. There's a part in the law that gives you the power with a stroke of a pen to do certain things. You better do it, you know. Because you do not go on to the people of this country decide that enough is enough. Where they were when we were up on the beach in NEGRIL. Where they were when hippies used to come to NEGRIL. NEGRIL start tourism. And successful government haven't done a damn thing about NEGRIL. NEGRIL look like some ghetto. You're driving to NEGRIL, some shanty town. And you're telling me now that if me walk over hedonism too, to sit up on the sand and enjoy the beach, one security guard to come off of the beach? How long must we continue like this in this country? Dr. Taylor, go ahead, sir, because
you see, Jeffrey, one of the things that JABEM, so just so the folks them know that I am the president of JABEM. JABEM is the Jamaica Beach Birthright and Environmental Movement. And one of our core remit is actually to see to the repeal and replacement of the Beach Control Act of 1956. We want to do away with conditional or permission use of Jamaican beaches. We want this to be general rights of access. And I think sometimes folks, it may not soak into them when we say general rights. Means it is like it's your right. It is not contingent upon any conditionality at all. You are free to use the space because these are treasures of the nation. And so no commercialization of the coast would exclude you. And what we are seeing across Jamaica right now, once, a hotel, a villa, or any of these kind of commercial activity start happening in a space, then the Jamaican people are excluded. This is a massive problem in Montego Bay, massive problem in Trelawney, massive problem in St. Anne, and in NEGRIL, where we know we have 7 miles of beach. I'm sure some of you will see the security posts, so some of you will see some of the fences, and some of you could still traverse that space. But in fact, all of these hotels have leases for the beaches before them, and those leases comes with restriction. All right. And so they can move you, because those restrictions are actually written in their leases. Now, we want to do away with all the restrictions. We want Jamaicans to have general rights of access. We want, those properties to have easement. So you could traverse over the property, which is normal in Barbados, normal in Bahamas, the Cayman, St. Lucia. There needs to be easement of many points that you could just access the space. And then what that translates into now, Jamaicans and tourists can coexist on the same beaches all across the island, and no commercial development will happen that will exclude Jamaicans. There was a case, the classic case that happened last year at Bob Marley Beach. And I know the government came out and said, well, we are not going to privatize Bob Marley Beach. But here's the situation. None of the land that surrounds Bob Marley Beach is owned by the government of Jamaica. So if the man who bought all that 200 and odd acre of land there decides to put up a wire fence, how do you get to the beach? You don't have wings, you can't fly. And that is what they do. I am from Steertown, St. Anne, and I see that before my eyes. And I've watched that, we have lost access over, a 20-year period to the entire swath of that Miami Bay region. No one can go on the beaches there. And what happened is that the privatization of the land excluded access for the people. And that is the fundamental problem, is that land rights equal beach access. And you will see that in NEGRIL, because I'm sure there were spots that you could have walked to on the beach, and you can't walk on those spots anymore because there's wire fence there and there are gates there and there are walls there that you can't go over. You're on mute.
Sorry. Let me tell you something. I remember back in the days when a group of us used to go to Bloody Bay and you have cocoa plum. I don't know if you know the fruit named cocoa plum.
Yeah, man.
I used to love it. I have a grand aunt of mine, may God rest her soul. Her name is the late Del Hutchinson. She loves it, gone to bed. You know, if I don't take it for her in the days, she'll upset with me. But I remember the days when we used to have every Sunday, we have beach party on the beach. And nowadays, the whole 7 mile strip, come all the way down, is hotels. There's no mangroves anymore. There's no grape tree on the beach in NEGRIL anymore. It's just hotels and hotels and hotels. And there is a law that the hotels must not build high-rise buildings that they cannot see the sea.
Yes.
No. We want to know who give them permission to build such high-rise buildings. I tell you, successful government continue to infringe on the fundamental rights of the people of this country, and nothing comes out of it.
And that is because we're silent. We're silent when this happened, and we would have hoped that, the successive government that you mentioned would have the interests of the public, which they don't. So you talk about, town and country planning orders that would says, okay, we should have what we call windows to the sea. So when you're driving, you should be able to see the ocean, and then you see all of these high-rise come up. I mean, absolutely. Those that what you mentioned was gazetted. That should not happen. It's gazetted for the whole Montego Bay Trelawney era. It's gazetted for NEGRIL. It's gazetted for the Sentman era. That these spaces should really be, national treasures, and yet still they go against those. And the reason being, Jeffrey, is that now beaches and beach lands are now part of the economic machinery of the country.
You
right?
stick a pin right there, Ray, say something there, because something was sent to me. The Wholeness Administration, Minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister, Daryl Vaz, and the Urban Development Corporation, UDC. Should I read more of this thing?
Well, I mean,
have been slammed by the Office of the Contractor General for their role in selling beach properties to a certain companies that I don't want to call on. I don't want to sue. I don't know what to sue Roots FM. The government evaluator valued the land at $13.5 million. The property was sold for $7.2 million in the name of development.
This is when you have capitalism gone awry. All right, that you de-develop the people out of development. All right. And the legislation that will allow them to do so, much of that is baked into the Beach Control Act of 1956, because it gives the minister all the power to decommission beaches. It gives the minister the power to reduce the number of fishing beaches. It gives the minister the power to open up new fishing beaches. It gives the minister so much power All right, one minister can have all this power to do all these things, and without what we call the watchdogs of society, the vigilantes of society, it's all going to go away. It's all
And
going to go away.
that minister is the Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Well, the Prime Minister, the Beach Control Act of 1956, the regulatory arm of it, which is it's the NRCA,
Uh-huh.
is run by NEPA, and NEPA sits in the office of the Prime Minister. So by just reasoning, the Prime Minister of Jamaica is the head of the Beach Control Act of 1956. So he himself can solve many of these problems. I mean, let's say the problem of Blue Lagoon. So the Blue Lagoon has been closed now for 6 months plus, I think
Don't
7
touch
months.
Blue Lagoon yet because we're going to touch Blue Lagoon. You're not touch Blue Lagoon yet. Because we want to know who they sell Blue Lagoon to. And take with us some idiot in this country. So we can't go to Blue Lagoon and lock down Blue Lagoon from what we kill Philip. And Philip dead long time. So we want to know who the Andrew Honest administration either sell Blue Lagoon or lease Blue Lagoon to. Hold on a minute. The company also walk away with the Moon Plaza Beach, valuing at $3.5 million for free. Uno selling out this country, uno selling out Jamaica. Bit by bit. No better barrel, no better herring. How much they sell with her? How much they sell the poor pauperizing people of this country for? They're selling off every beach in this country. Everybody can come to Jamaica, broke as a dog, and leave Jamaica richer and gone like the bird in the sky, free like the bird in the sky. And we'll sit down in this country and ask about what we are PNP and we are JLP. What are they doing for this country? This has been going on from 1960 to have been selling out the properties in this country. Hello, we're not going off of a property in a Trelawny, I gotta make it talk.
No, I mean, you can see all the commercialization that is happening in Trelawny. I mean, and there's a beach down there you're gonna hear more about soon in the news that another hotel development is slated to be there, and it's pushing off the fisher folks off that space. Listen, the problem is obvious to Jamaicans. I think the issue is that did we lose Roots FM?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Go ahead, continue. We're still live here.
Okay, great. And once they target these, these fishing beaches or these recreationalism beach in Jamaica for their development projects, they're basically saying that you cannot coexist there anymore. Now, I want to make it clear that the position that Jabim is taking is not an anti-development plan. What we're saying is that when you do these kind of projects in Jamaica, you need to make sure that the rights of the Jamaican people to access the beach and use the sea is protected. And how do you do that? You have to leave easements, some parking facility so the population can still access these beaches because we are descendants of enslaved African who actually fought for the independence of Jamaica. Emancipation did not come by someone just granting us that. Our ancestors shed blood for that. And so, we own the country. And so all aspects of the country must be accessible, especially those ecological spaces to the entire population. And the law that really, is set that we can't do so is the Beach Control Act of 1956. Because it clearly states that we don't have the right to bathe, the right to swim, and the right to fish. All of these that we do in Jamaica now is through customs. So if a fisherman wasn't customarily using the beach for fishing, and let's say you find a new spot, but there was no fishing going on in there, you don't have that right. You have to get permission. And who do you get permission from? Is it that the property owner gives you permission to do so? Or if it's a UDC property, UDC have to give you permission to do so. And UDC is not doing that. They're not doing that. You know what I mean? So we could talk about a beach in St. Anne that is just east of Old Fort Bay. You know, it's more than 30 acres of property. And that was recently transferred to Czech. Czech is the China Arbor engineering company that is doing many of the highway development. And they transferred that property from UDC to Czech. So now what does that mean? That means that the Miami Bay community have lost access to use that beach. And they've been using it forever. And this is a government property transferred to private.
Hold on a minute there. Repeat what you're saying. You're saying to me that the government of Jamaica transfer how much acres of land?
It's over 30 acres of land.
To the Chinese government.
It transferred to the Czech. Czech is the Chinese Arbor.
It is owned by the Chinese government.
Well, if it's owned by the Chinese government, then you are correct. It has been transferred. And so here we are. The government complicit in beach access loss. Now, I think if the government was proactive in protecting our beach access right, what the government would do is to make sure that, okay, we're going to sell this property, which we are not in agreement of, actually. I mean, we think all of these sensitive coastal space should be put in a land trust for the Jamaican people. Many of these have sensitive ecosystems on there, and that needs to be protected. But at least the minimum they could have done is to create an easement where we can access the beach, still access it, not just shut it off completely and said, no, you can't go down there anymore. And that's the problem that we're having, Jeffrey. We're having the problem of just a systematic exclusion of the public from these spaces. Once the land gets sold, we lose access. And even if you're on there, because that's the case of Miami Bay Beach. Miami Bay Beach is a gazetted beach.
Roots 96.1 FM in association with Leaders in Promotion presents the Innocent Vibes Road Show every first and last Tuesday of each month. We're going to be broadcasting live from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. from various communities, featuring community leaders, guest speakers, business personnel, students who are doing exceptionally well in school, senior citizens, entertainment, quizzes, giveaways, and lots more. Right here on the Better Station Roots, Radio 96.1 FM. It is the Innocent Vibes Road Show.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out.
Continue playing this song, please.
Seems so tough. Make we talk, my people. Make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people. Make we talk. Conversation is the key.
Welcome back to Make We Talk. We lost Roots FM a short while ago. They're back on air with us. We're speaking to Dr. Devon Taylor, a man who is talking about the beaches in Jamaica. The government of Jamaica gave away 30-something acres of land to the Chinese government because the Chinese government owned Czech Republic, what the hell one call the construction company. The government of Jamaica gave away 34.
It's 30-something plus.
30-something plus acres of land. Beachfront land. To the Chinese construction company in Jamaica. Both the PNP and the JLP selling out Jamaica. No better barrel, no better herring. Dr. Taylor, continue and tell the people who just joined us about the land when they give it to the Chinese government. The 34-something acre land.
So that's why we're saying that if the government, which in its latest presentation the Holiness Administration basically says all Jamaicans must have access to its beaches, and that should be without question. I'm saying that there's been no proactive move that has made in that fulfillment, because if this transaction happened in less than 6 months ago, and what should have been done in that, if they're doing that, we need that to be public, so the public understand, and there should be a consultation with the public to understand how that is impacting the public. And then there should have been easement rights, so the public can still continue to access that space. I mean, there are some group of guys who used to do horseback riding tour. They used to use that property. The members of Mami Beer used to use that property, to access the beach, members of the Steertown community. So the community lost all that access, and
Dr.
nobody
Taylor.
was told. You don't see a sign goes up that says no trespassing, no bathing, no fishing, no swimming, goes up at the gate.
Dr. Taylor, just for the interest of our people who just joined us back on Roots FM, tell them which beach you're talking about.
So I'm talking about a beach that is just east of Old Fort Bay. So if you're familiar with the Ocherius corridor, when you leave out of St. Anne's Bay and you're coming up along the coastline, you pass Draxall, and then there's a Rio Hotel there, and then there's a Sandals Hotel there. There's a community called Mami Bay, and then there's next door to Mami Bay is another community called Old Fort Bay. Actually, that community is when you take that highway, that expensive highway that Czech built, and it drops you right on the north coast. All right, it's the exit, the last exit. And once you drop out that roundabout there, all that community that you see there is the Old Fort Bay community. So just east of that, there's a beach. As a kid, we call it Brownlow Beach, basically. That land was UDC land, and UDC transferred that land to Czech. So beach access is gone. All right?
So hold on here now. I'm gonna look back in the Constitution of Jamaica, because if they're supposed to do something like that, they're supposed to let the public of Jamaica know that they're going to do something like that. I want to know something, It seems that these politicians take me for a bunch of fools in this country, Where every 5 years they come, they chat all kind of nonsense story, put them in there. What put them in there? What they do? They sell me out. They sell out the people of this country. They sell out the listen to me. How they can give away Miami Bay Beach to the communist Chinese government? Because Czech construction company is owned by the Chinese government.
Yeah, so just so that we're very correct with the language there. That is the Old Fort Bay East Beach, right? That we call Brownlow. Mami Bay Beach is a separate story because we're in the courts with that right now, because that beach also, the community has been displaced from that beach. And that was actually a gazetted beach. And by gazette, we mean that the government approved that to be a fishing and recreational beach since 1976. But yet still, they pushed the community off that beach. And so we have to go into the court. So we are in the court right now, seeking to regain access to Mami Bay Beach. The problem is real, The problem is real. You see, they closed Little Duns River. All right? It's closed now for what? 7 months. No conversation to the public regarding that. So the pattern is very clear as to how we lose these things. We always lose them to these quote-unquote commercial projects that are coming on stream. And that's why we say the Beach Control Act, it discriminates. It discriminates against the Jamaican people because there's a clause there that says, if you are, and I need to find that clause, because it's always good to accurately, read what those clauses actually says. So our people, when they go back and check the records, it's not basically our interpretation of it, but it's actually what is written in that clause. Because there's a clause in section 4 of the Beach Control Act, right? That basically says, any person who is the owner or occupier of any land adjoining any part of the foreshore, and any member of his family or any private guest of his shall be entitled to use that part of the foreshore adjoining his land for private domestic purposes, that is to say for bathing, fishing, and other forms of recreation, as a means of to access the sea for such purpose. Remember, I read a provision to you earlier that says
Yes.
the public don't have any right to the space, but the same law gave right to the person who owns property that adjoins. And most of the folks across Jamaica that are owning property that joins the ocean or tend to be the wealthy Jamaicans. They're in a different socio-economic status. And then of course there's all these private hoteliers that own all these property. So the Beach Control Act discriminates. It gives a owner who owns land that adjoins the ocean, all these rights and privileges, but the rest of Jamaicans don't.
Now tell me something now. But Jesus Christ looked down from heaven upon this nation. You're telling me that the people, the citizens of this country, have no access to a beach? If they do have access, they have to go through a kind of ring road to go to the beach? And they're selling off beachfront properties to their drugs lords from Mexico, Colombia. Jeffrey behaved yourself this morning. Andrew Michael Holness, I say it already and I say it again, Be careful and make poor people here water upon you. Prime Minister Andrew Michael Holness, be ye careful. You make poor people eye water catch you. You're selling off poor people land in this country.
So Jeffrey, and you raise the Prime Minister's name several times, and we have too. And why are we doing so is that the security of a people is not only, from crime and violence. The security of a people is also vested in their ability to really access the natural resources. And the natural resources serve many purposes, right? It's for their livelihood. So that is part of their development and the ability to feed their family. That's a part of security that remit sits also, in part with the Prime Minister, right? It's also for recreation. Recreation actually is a component that of our lives that is also supported by United Nations Declaration that we Jamaicans are full signatory to. It is for baptism purposes. The churches uses this space. I mean, it's for, of course, the therapeutic purposes where you go and you meditate and you relax. So these natural treasures actually have a security component to them, and they're actually measurable. So, and we are saying that these spaces needs to be protected. And because the Beach Control Act of the country falls within the office of the Prime Minister, then he has actually even more control over how it is exercised, how it is used. And that tool can be used to protect access to the beaches.
You know something? Those who are listening to me from NEGRIL will remember they used to have some police they call the Red Hat back in the days in NEGRIL. And one day, it was a Friday evening or a Saturday evening, I can't remember what it was. One of the policemen decides he's going to beat a pregnant woman on the beach. Yes? And when he beat the pregnant woman, him believe that a him pay we. He take out him gun and he start fighting in the air. You know what the people in NEGRIL did? They blocked the NEGRIL bridge with a school bus was carrying some hotel workers. And for the whole live-long night in NEGRIL was riot. Because they have the people come, they have the police on the beach telling people that they mustn't sell the tourists nothing on the beach and they mustn't this and they mustn't that. Hello, the people of this country go through some atrocities with these two parties, The people of Jamaica go through some atrocities with these two political parties in this country, you know. And the time has come for us in this country to stand up and call a spade and stop this bloody nonsense about PNP and JLP. When they blocked the road in NEGRIL, they set the bus crossway the bridge and light the bus. The late Russell Hammonds and myself, along with the late Custis of the parish of Westmoreland, Jim Thompson's son, we were in the heart of it, trying to tell the people, say, enough, no matter with no more. They turned us to us and they leave us alone. They went on top of the supermarket top and threw down some buckle boom. When the fire brigade came, they couldn't out it. That was to go back and leave it. That's what we have been through in NEGRIL. To have access to the beach in NEGRIL. Jamaicans, wake up. Jamaicans, wake up. We don't have access to our beautiful beaches anymore. It's only tourists have access to the beach. Because of these two political parties selling out the country, giving away lands for road in this country. Them say they want to build us proper roads. And they bring in the Chinese to build us proper roads. What are they doing? They're giving away the prime lands in this country to the Chinese government. We're at a crossroad in this country, you know. Jamaica is knocking behind Haiti's back door. The people of this country, the two political parties, especially this one, are putting the Jamaican people back against the wall for far too long. And I'm giving you all a warning. Be ye careful what you're doing to the people of this country. The Bible said that God loves poor people. Be careful what you're doing to poor people in this country. Go ahead, Mr. Dr. Taylor.
Yes, and I can feel your emotion there, and you know, I mean, and that of people who, like myself, who have been displaced because Mama Bay Beach was my beach. You know, I mean, that's the beach that my family use and my friends use, and the Mama Bay South community uses that beach. And you know, we don't want it to get to a point where there is conflict, but all of that can be mitigated by good governance. And what you're talking about is an historical issue because this law has been around since 56. It's been around before Jamaica became an independent nation. So it would have gone through several different administrations, and there could have been the necessary amendment made in the interest of the Jamaican people. And no tourist is going to stop coming to Jamaica because to use the same beach as Jamaica. The Jamaican tourism product, as you outlined, was built upon the culture and practices of the Jamaican people. All right. And so there is nothing in our history to suggest that tourists will not come to Jamaica if the beaches and Jamaicans have general rights and can walk and access every beach in Jamaica that they can do. So we need to really get that out of our head. That's a myth that they keep spreading around that tourists are not going to be safe. I mean, and all this harassment is going to happen. And as a result, we're going to have a model, all right, that is going to prevent Jamaicans from using the space. And it's not true because, as I said, in 1956, we never had any crime and violence problem in Jamaica. So when the law came in, it was never a law to control crime and violence. It was a law that came in to protect the rich, to protect the privilege. And that's why they wrote in there a special provision for people who own beachfront property because those were the wealthy people. And we're saying that we're in 2023 right now. We can't keep those conditionality in the law anymore. We have that's just not, it is discriminatory to preferentially treat one group better than how you treat another group. And that is clear in the law. But as I said, the power also sits with the minister to make that correction. And I stand corrected, but it is very clear that they can be fixed.
And you know something, Dr. Taylor? Let me say something here this afternoon or this morning. They're forming a new constitution because they want to go republic. Jamaicans. They have some laws on the book only for the people of the Vumva the Vumva V. The people who live below Crossroad. God help we. And if we allow them to draft this new constitution, it's the same thing they're not do. I can make something clear to this person, my thing here. If Joseph Patterson of the UIC cannot tell the people of this country how much candidates he have, come on for me something. Because as far as me concerned, the UIC is no different from the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party. And the time for us to be die-hearted is not now. We must be die-hearted for this piece of rock. We came here by labor pain, not by aeroplane or party pain, but by our mother's labor pain. This piece of rock is ours, and Jamaicans fight for this rock. You believe that if a war should break out in Jamaica, you believe that Andrew Holness and the 69 people and the 62 people don't stay here? Like what the president of Ukraine did? They run gone left way. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, and I mean, and you're pointing to some, issues that normally cause, fracture in Jamaican society around many issues, and that is partisan politics. And what we're looking at here, this is a political issue. It needs a political solution through legislation, and the way our democracy sets up. It has to go through the parliament. So it is political, but it's not partisan. Because people, in all of those political parties are impacted by these kind of legislation, which are bad for the people of Jamaica. So I'm just appealing to Jamaicans to know that this issue is going to require a political solution, but don't make it a partisan issue because your party takes a particular position. What you have to look at historically, how has this benefited not only you, but benefited the entire population of Jamaica? All right. And it has not, because it is a discriminatory legislation that discriminates against you. And so it needs to go. And it is the responsibility of, the political party in power at the moment to fix it. All of them are guilty of what? Supporting it over all these 62 years. They have been supporting that legislation. And we're shining a spotlight on it. And so in this modern era, it cannot stay. It cannot stay. The minister in that legislation is the prime minister, is ultimate power to declare public beaches, to decommission them, to really take land if he wants to create beaches. Access, he can do. All that power is vested in our democracy. And I'll say one thing. We absolutely need to become a republic. Jamaica needs to move away from colonial England in all its shapes and its form. This law started to be written in 1836. Okay, the 1836 declaration by the colonial power is what sets into being, because they set it into being that Jamaicans should stay landless. And they put taxes on properties that Jamaicans could not afford it. And there was no internal reparation for distribution of lands to the descendants of enslaved people. And this was a calculated action by colonial England. That's where it started. So we need to really rid ourselves of all those laws that were written against us. So we need to move to a republic. What we, however, want is that this Constitutional Committee to reflect the value of the Jamaican people. So we need people there who are Pan-Africanists. We need people there who are environmentalists. We need people there just from, who we know always have the pulse of civil society. So when this constitution is rewritten, it is written in the interest of the Jamaican people. And I think that's why the issue I have with the committee is the diversity of the committee. I question. It's heavily laden with lawyers. Too many lawyers are sitting on the Constitutional Committee. And I think we need to diversify the committee because it has a lot of job to do. And I want to make sure that the environmental issues are taken into consideration. I need the Pan-African issues to be taken into consideration, because we are a country of 97% African stock, all right? And so that, needs to play out into whatever, we put into this constitution. And fundamentally, we're asking that the general rights, unfettered right to access the beaches and use the sea, be represented in this document. So no more can we see we become displaced from our beaches, no more displaced from our rivers. We want these things to be protected under the laws of Jamaica, and currently they're not. It is only based upon one individual, who is the minister, and whoever that ministry that controls NEPA will control our beach access right.
Yes.
And the economic policy of the country, which is the privatization of beach ecosystem, cannot continue because it displaces us from the space.
Yes, it is now 11:54. It's 12:54. We're listening and watching from around the world and the Eastern Caribbean. We're talking about access to beaches. I want to know where these people were when we were running up on the beach in NEGRIL, barefoot on the beach in NEGRIL. The two political parties wrecked NEGRIL. You have one family-run NEGRIL political elite for years. What have they done for it? Not a thing. If you see the western strip of NEGRIL, it's not western as we used to know it. Because no tourists not going there anymore. They make it that the poorer class of people from NEGRIL who build tourism mustn't get no more of the tourism pie. It is now time for us to come off Roots FM pretty soon. But I'm saying to the people of Jamaica, to the people of this beloved country of ours, that we love so much, Jamaicans, wake up. Every 5 years, they come and tell us one whole big bangarang. He come and tell us, so we don't see the door open. One man tries and he's dead like a dog. Gunman shoot him. And if the political parties in this country was really securing the people of this country, all this nonsense will be going on. They are going to take 34 acres of prime land. And because the Chinese Communist government build road giveaway, then take the road, they take the land, give to them. So the poor black Jamaicans have no access to the beach anymore.
I want to make a point here.
Go ahead for me, sir. We don't have enough time. Go ahead.
Jamaica is around 494 miles around the complete island. Do you know how much of that 494 mile is designated public beach access to the population? It is 2.8 miles of the 494 miles. And you could check that out. That was a new recent published article in the New York Times that highlighted that. Only 2.8, so around 3 miles of our entire coastline is designated as public beach access. So we know we have a problem. Okay, folks in Montego Bay who used to access Iberia Star, where that beach is, can't do it anymore. I mean, the Marley Beach, you can't access it anymore. You look at Providence Beach, can't access it anymore. Cornwall Beach, you can't access it anymore. You can't access Sydney Beach in St. Ann. Rio takes it over. You cannot access, so many beaches. Now they closed Little Duns River, they closed Blue Lagoon, all right? You can see the privatization project just kind of jumping. Burwood is in problem. We list a list there. You can check out our posts. So there are so many problems that we're really facing right now. So what I'm going to ask our people to do, to get involved. So we are Jabem. And as I said, check us out at jabem.org. You could check us out on Instagram at jabem. All right. You could send us an email at info.jabem, and that is JABBEM @gmail.com. Connect with us. Let us know if you're having these problems in your area. And we are building a legal team that will be able to help to provide legal support, because there's one tool that's left in the toolbox that we can use, and that's called the Prescription Act. And what the Prescription Act of 1882, as colonial as it is, it says one thing. If you have been using a track, a roadway, a little pass to access the beach, and you have been doing so for a minimum of 20 years, and no one gave you any permission, you can go into the courts and have the court recognize your rights to continue to do so. That's the one tool that left in the toolbox that the public can wield. So don't feel like you lose all your rights, okay? Know that we are here to help you to protect that right. So if you reach out to us, okay, through jabem.org or jabem on Instagram, we can help you to navigate this process.
Yes.
We have, for the ones in the diaspora, a GoFundMe to help with this. If you just look at One Love Jamaica Beach Access Defense Fund, you could find us there. And we have a petition at change.org that says protect beach access for all Jamaicans. All right. Yes. And so you could reach out to us. We could help you navigate this process to protect our ecological heritage.
Thank you, Dr. Devon Taylor. Thank you so much for coming. And don't be a stranger. I want you to come back again, because we need some more, information on what is going on. So don't be a stranger.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for coming on, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
You know something, Jamaicans, we don't have enough time here leaving roots. But you know something, before I go, I am saying to my fellow Jamaicans out there, stand up for this country. The National Land Agency is thieving lands and making some false will to people who don't own people land. There's a lady that I know right now. They're out for thief her land in a Trelawney, and I'm saying to the National Land Agency, be careful what you're doing, Be ye careful what you're doing. Selling off beachfront land. Taking away people's land and selling it. Be ye careful. Not going to the Jamaican people start rebelling at the people of Lithuania and the people of Germany. Be careful what you're doing in this country. Be ye careful. Jamaican people, wake up. No UIC, no PNP, no JLP cannot help this country. We have to help this country. So I want to talk about no UIC for Jamaica. Ask the president for the UIC to tell the people of Jamaica who is his candidates. He has the party from 2013, and I know no candidate. I know you're not a candidate. But we're talking about UIC. We're better wake up in this country. Until you hear my voice again. May God bless you. And may God bless Jamaica land we love. Jamaicans, for God Almighty's sake, wake up and stop this PNP and JLP. Joseph Patterson need to fix it for himself. He can't fix Jamaica. Mr. Isis, God bless you. Training all over to 96.1 FM. And by the way, this evening at 8 p.m., I'll be having the PNP YO president on the program here to speak about the youths in Jamaica don't want to vote. So at 8 p.m. this evening, the PNP YO president, Senator Gabriela Morris, will be my special guest. Thank you very much, Ms. Isis.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key.
You know, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do in this country, you know. I don't know what we're going to do in this country. Jamaicans. I may have the name of Tavares, but I'm not aligned to any political party, Jamaicans. I am fighting for this rock. This rock we call home. This rock we call Jamaica. For far too long, we make people come to this country and scam we go and scam we come. Because if a party is new and different in Jamaica, publish your financial report. Publish who is your list of candidates. I don't want to talk about give money, donation for start party. When there's a bunch of scammers. When they're scamming poor people in this country. Wake up, Jamaicans, wake up. We're knocking behind Haiti's back door. PP, clock, clock. Bong, 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 bong. Wake up. Until you hear my voice at 8 o'clock this evening. God bless you. And God bless Jamaica land we love. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'm passionate about my country. I'm passionate about this country, and it hurt me to see where this country going. Thank you all very much.